Hey everybody, we're back to Trading ThinkScript. Great to have you here. Mike Fairborn, Senior Manager Trading Derivatives at Charles Schwab. Hope you're enjoying all this continuation of volatility. A lot of volatility out there still in the markets, but some things to talk about actually in that regard with our discussion today. And an indicator referred to as the super trend indicator. It's been out there for a little bit. There are some adjustments we can make to it. I don't know if you've seen it. It's really quite a fascinating indicator, taking a look at two key components of volatility. On one side, you're looking at ATRs. Well, actually, that's really the kind of the volatility component, but then also a weighted aspect of volatility in terms of a super trend. We're going to take a look at some of these, take a look at some of the back tests on them, just look back historically, review those in detail. I'm excited to go through that with you. And of course, within this class, folks, yeah, it's in the name. We do trade ThinkScript as well. So plenty to look at this week in terms of where we might be seeing some example setups, for example, for just looking at a number of the different ThinkScripts that we've used previously. So with that, love to welcome you all here with us. Hello to you, TM, and Will, the two Sunset guys. Well, at least Will is, for sure. All right. We've got, man, by the way, just looking out my window here, looking at, we're just up in the mountains, big cottonwood. We got big cottonwood, we got little cottonwood. I'm closer to Little Cottonwood, about 15 minutes from my house. You got Alta and Snowbird, massive thunder this morning, which is interesting for March. Normally we get that a little bit later, May, June. But anyways, it's been kind of crazy getting some snow coming in, as I can see looking over the top of the mountains here. But welcome to you, Olga, Art, Kevin, and Gentle John, Sharon, and others. Great to have you all on board. I'm joined in the chat by a good friend and colleague of mine, Mr. Kevin Horner. You see him in the chat as KH. And folks, any questions, comments you have, throw those in the chat so we can address those for you. Let's dive on into the super trend in just a second. But first of all, we want to take a look at some of our disclosures first. So equity and index options carry a high level of risk. They're not suitable for all investors. Now, information here is for general information purposes only and should not be considered an individualized recommendation. Paper money software application is for education purposes only as well. Backtesting results, as we do like to look back, and we're going to be doing some of that today too. I promise you that, but I just want to say that those results presented are hypothetical, and there's no guarantee that the same strategy implemented today would produce similar results, going forward. Investing involves risk, including for some products more than your initial investment. Past performance of any security strategy does not guarantee future results or success. So look at our futures disclosures. We don't trade futures, but we do look at the charts. And I just wanted to state here, futures and futures options trading does involve substantial risk. It's not suitable for all investors. Okay, quick note, as we do look at some of our goals, our objectives for ThinkScript, many of you are so familiar with this, but some of you that are new for the first time, just a quick review. We identify the goal. Can ThinkScripting meet the goal? We outline the steps to the script and apply the script. Now today, some of that's been done for us. That's not too common. Normally we generally build our own, but there is an interesting one that I think is really quite cool, using two indicators, ATR and the whole moving average, and combining those two together. When I talk about it here in just a second, we will share that script with you, but it could just be an interesting reference. It's really kind of comes down, more than anything I would say, is timing with the trend, and we could put all kinds of additional sort of indicators on that trend as well, moving averages, things like that. But once you've identified the trend, you're really looking for the timing. That'll be evident as soon as I share that with you too. So let's move right along here. Hey, real quick, what I wanted to share with everybody is we are looking at the S&P 500. One interesting note, actually, that the director of our group did share with us a little while back, did state that, as we look at the S&P 500, and I bring this up because if you're designing ThinkScripts or whatever the case might be, you're just looking for, trade examples out there, whatever the case is. As we look at the VIX over here, my floating VIX line has been sitting here for quite some time. Let me float it back over where it's supposed to be. It'll eventually just move over where it's supposed to be, eventually it'll just float. But yeah, the VIX, I'll just keep it there. We know what the VIX is, but the volatility index for the S&P 500, now you'll notice that it is remained elevated. Think of strategies when you are, close to that 25 25 or higher, greater than 25, greater than or equal to 25, whatever the case might be. There can be a number of different strategies out there, but it is elevated. Premiums out there can be higher for sure when we're looking, we're talking specifically about the VIX. Now, one interesting thing is we saw a lot of big traders out there take off their equity hedges, and all that means is they closed out a number of positions that they saw in terms of puts. And what that can mean, for example, I had a brief disclosure on equity options just right from the get-go here, but just want to make sure I hit that. Yeah. But the thing is when they take off those hedges, what can happen is realized volatility can drop. And so what you're actually seeing in terms of volatility that's being realized, it is dropping, but the VIX is staying high. What does that tell us? Big picture, it could say, it kind of is saying, things are going okay right now in the market. I'll jump back to the market now here. Things are going okay. They're maybe not as volatile currently as it stands, but volatility still remains. But there might be a window in here where volatility could be declining. So just park that in the back of your minds. I just want to throw that out there. I thought it was a fascinating read, but it has been seemingly unfolding a little bit, even after we had this sharp spike down. Now, having said all that, okay, now of course this is where I throw the water on my previous comment. But if I flip that around, remember we were talking about the cup and handle, because there is that possibility too. I flipped it around. This is the SPX minus SPX, so we see everything in inverse. But yeah, it is a cup and handle, and we were saying, hey, if we get another flag pattern, a little flag right there, well, you just got it. We don't know if that's going to drop, but if it did, it's really an inverted cup and handle pattern. And as prices go up, yeah, they are dropping. So I'm just saying, hey, be mindful of it, because if we were to get, let's say, for example, a hold over here, we don't have one right now, but if we did, that could be interesting. The other thing is, if I just flip it back, you'll actually see it now. I think you guys have seen this. It's Good Friday tomorrow, so we are dark in terms of our presentations. I am doing an X video tomorrow, a video on X in terms of like those short 2-minute, videos that look at the market, things like that. And also be doing a YouTube mini video too. But aside from that, our normal classes are shut down. So I just was going to throw in the markets and sectors just a little bit to give you guys some ideas for this, just some thoughts for this week on markets and sectors. But that's kind of it being inverted right here. You can see one interesting thing is we did though. So a lot of times on those cup and handles, what'll happen is you might not break above that resistance level. And by the way, you did. And all else equal, I'm just going to have to say it right now. All else equal, folks, I'd call that a positive, because you did break above that resistance level. Now, the question is can it hold and go higher? Okay. I just wanted to make sure you saw that. Wiley, others, Riceberg, you guys have seen me say this. Will, definitely, and others here, Chris. You guys have seen this, Scott James. But, I mean, you've seen me talk about this probably in some of the other classes. I'm just saying that it could be interesting. And also down below here, yeah, as we talk about a lot of things, scripts here, boom, look at that. Well, that right there is oversold on the RSI. And when you get that on the markets, you're dealing with 500 companies. You don't see it a ton, but when you do touch down here, I'm just going to highlight a couple of these. I know you guys can see them, but I happen to have a pointer in my hand right now, and I'm going to use it a little bit. You'll notice that there are some bottoms that correlate with this. Now, this one was trending down. We'd broken some lows. That would be the caveat there for sure. We did make a new low here, and then we came right back to that resistance level. Look at that, right there. And then, yeah, we went south even sharper. Coming on down. It was a short-term low. This was obviously a longer-term low, oversold. My head's stuck in fundamentals. I've been doing some fundamentals this morning too. But right here, you got it again. And that's kind of a double right there. So park that in your minds as you think about ThinkScript. Maybe we can look at some bullish ThinkScript today. I was going to do that actually with you guys, because we have one sector out there that's actually showing some interesting strength that I wanted to use the super trend on, specifically because you might recognize the pattern of this sector. Well, it's called the industrial sector. Many of you know that. Dow Jones Industrials. Um, all right. The other thing too, I was just going to say real fast, if you got a little trend like right there, that's still short term. That would help to invalidate the inverted cup and handle. And you guys know this, and I've heard Kevin had a discussion on this a long time ago. Kevin Horner, he did say, when you get a signal that sets up like a pattern and then it fails, it can be just as powerful. And so, in other words, that looks like if that were to be a failure, well, you could get a sharp move. We don't know. There's a lot, but at least we're mindful of both sides and things to look out for on each end. Okay, so definitely consider that. Okay, well, that is that. And let me just do this. We'll start off with this, and I'll go ahead and introduce the super trend, and then we'll do our ThinkScript trading at the end of the class, put a couple example trades on. Sound good? All right, I'm going to go ahead and shoot on over to the sector grid. Again, I've given Kevin credit for this. He's the one that helped build this thing up for us for sure in terms of looking at sectors specifically in a nice little grid format. You got 11 of them up here with the SPX down here at the bottom. Now, the one that I just wanted to highlight right here, and we can look at a lot of these because look at materials. These would be fun to use the super trend indicator on as well. But look at this. That looks like the possibility of a bounce. Let me clear it now. Got to see it. I've covered it up. But there you go. In fact, I'm just going to come up top. We'll just go full screen. Now, it could, and I'll just say that we're breaking above some highs here. You kind of got maybe a shoulder here. But again, folks, sector S&P 500, only material companies that are in the S&P 500 make up this chart, which makes it so interesting. Could we get a sector resuming right now? We could. We could also get it resuming the trend over here. There's the long upward trend. We could start to see that trend unfold. I mean, it's always interesting when you do get a little bit of this off the bottom. Short term, that is short term, not intermediate, not long term, although short term can bleed into IAT, intermediate, or the long term. That trend is up across the board. Interesting. Now we're hitting some highs right here. We broke it above those highs. Keep an eye on it. This is really the one I wanted to look at initially, though, right there. So this was the big rally up in industrials here. And then there's your pullback. I'm just going to do this too while I've got it. Once you have these in here, just go ahead and take a look at it on a weekly chart if you want. This is kind of, it matches in my, it matches sort of a weekly pullback. See that dip all the way down there? Notice anything? How about a high? High. I'm just saying it could bounce if things start to settle a little bit. Of course, if things don't settle, well, volatility can become great again. I guess it could start to spike. But there you go. That's long term on this. Let me just share this now. This is not actually it's not a script. ThinkScripts aren't guaranteed for timeliness or accuracy. This is not a ThinkScript, but I'm just going to share it just in case you guys don't have it. That's just the 6-month grid. 6-month grid. By the way, just typing this in, I noticed that we do see, thank you for reposting that, Kevin, in the chat. There's your 6-month grid, though, folks, if you'd like that. I've just zoomed in on one here, but there is a survey link in the chat. If you get a chance to fill that out, fantastic. There's normally just a couple questions on there. And you also, I always get good, interesting insights too in terms of topics or how you guys feel about it. So appreciate that if you're able to do it. Thumbs up if you do like it. You got to like it though. I want you to like it if you're going to hit the thumbs up. You're getting value out of it for sure. But okay, great. Let's go ahead and move on into the script now. As we do this, I'm going to set this up real easily over here on the left-hand side, and I'm going to pull up the Dow Jones. It's sitting right there for us. No surprise, I made sure it was going to be there for us. Let's pull this over a little bit. We don't need all that room. There's the Dow. And why am I pulling up the Dow? I could have pulled up all the industrial stocks within the S&P 500, and guess where you'd find them? Probably right over here. Many of those are going to be in that group. Many are going to be in here. So if you're going to be on the Dow, you're going to be industrials, You're going to find a few of these. So let's just look. Okay, so industrials, yes, we will pull up the industrials list though, but I just want to show you the Dow because the Dow looks like, here's $ DJI. Do you see it? Do you see the reference of the industrials? And I'm okay using this basket, even if there are some slight variations of the companies, like NVIDIA. Interesting one. It's actually up today. It's in the Dow. It can run with the Dow too. Okay, it can. Now let's do this. I'm going to clear off a couple of these down here, and I'm going to throw on the super trend right here so you can see it. And I've simply just copied it over from an individual here. Okay, and plenty to talk about it as we look at it here. Let's pull it up. It's from an individual who does a lot of these scripts online. Pieces some interesting concepts together too. I found Mobius is the individual's name here. I found this, and it's okay. So as we look at it here, just to highlight a couple of the different details. First of all, you'll notice over here, whole moving average. The whole moving average. Okay, so remember that uses a weighted moving average. It also uses a range of moving averages, and so it tends to smooth ranges. We've got an ATR. There's a combination that we're looking at here as we set this up. You've got set number of ATRs. We've got a few things. I've changed some of the colors down here. Let's go ahead and highlight it. But I'm just going to explain to you broadly. What it does is it shows trend. It shows the buy and sell on a very, very short-term trend. I say always add in the longer-term trend. I mean, why not? Okay. Based on a combination, it looks at a combination of the average price rate. Okay. That's using the whole moving average and in the current period, along with an ATR as a volatility indicator. It's a fascinating blend. The most interesting thing is, and I'll share it right now into the chat. Well, let's do this. I'll have it posted ready to show. Let me just show you a couple of these though, as we've got it, because here it is. Okay, looks like a lot of data. Now that's on the Dow. I'm going to go ahead and just select that NVIDIA starting off. I'm going to show you some of the ranges as it looks for price moves around an ATR and it using the whole moving average. So what it's actually doing is it's created two volatility bands and it flips between them. What is it? It's sort of this trail. What it represents, what it creates is a trailing line. The colors flip right there on that line. The original script, these are all in gray. I just put it light green and red so you can see it. Red for the down, green for the up, light green. Kind of see it against that black. But why this is interesting, it's not just a simple crossover. It's calculating and looking specifically at that ATR range and saying, with that ATR range, let's use that with that whole moving average. So it's using, like I mentioned, the actual average price rate. Totally different. I didn't see anything like it to this degree, combining it with a moving average. And it does become quite fascinating. What is interesting is, look at that. I wasn't expecting to see that. First of all, is the trend up? The trend is up, I would say, like right there. You got higher highs and higher lows. Let's flip that to a blue. We're going to do a lot more back testing here on this, but you flip that to a blue right about there. Okay. So how is ATR as a whole moving average showing us a line? It was like a year and a half ago, we created a trailing stop line. This is not a trail stop line in and of itself based upon a certain range. It combines that whole, which is fascinating. Notice we did break down below right here. The trend is up. So it's just kind of a warning sign. Let's continue on forward with this. I just would like to go through a few of these with you real quick and show you how it has a tendency when prices are going up to really kind of hold with that. Now, this was kind of intermediate, but again, it can give you a heads up if you start to get a low or high. Let me just kind of reference this for you. So you came down here, we got red area right there, right? We got red right through here as a low. Now, where could that be more interesting? If we start to get a lower high and maybe a kabloat or something. We didn't get it. It continued on up. Now over top here, we came down, got to move here. We got a lower high range and dip, lower closes for sure, and you started to break lows again. Once the trend established itself, it started to move again. Now, what's interesting is NVIDIA does go into a tight range over here in just a second too. Let's just zoom all the way out so you see it. So when you get choppy, you don't even really look at this. What this is based upon, and this is really something that we look at kind of in this class too. Frequently, where is the doggone trend at? Where's the trend? If you're just getting sideways, slapped around left, right, and center, over here, similar lows, similar highs. This is just flat out a consolidation. We just turned here. Now, if it were to come up here and start to move here and you're in the green, well, that could be a positive. Or if the trend is already up for an extended period of time. Let's move along. One more, we'll share it. I want you guys to take a look at it. We'll go from there. Zoom in on a time frame here, over a range, a trending range, and like I said, trend key, breaking a high over here. You got your crossover here. If you are in a trade and the trend is going up, it gives an amazing level. At least in terms of the way it's just set up right now, in terms of just flexibility around some of these dips, right? It's just holding them. By the way, you can see that it is painting everything green or everything red too. If you're above that green line, it's all green. Otherwise, all red. Okay, so park that on any stock that you might be looking at. Again, though, having that trend in place. Let's put it in here right here. Super trend. Yeah, sorry. We were looking, yeah, good call. So the super trend script is it's not on the grid, correct? It's on this, what I'm about to send you right now. All I've done is I've taken a look at industrials. Bam, I've thrown them over here so you can see them. Okay, and take a look at them. We're still going to take a look at a couple more of these. But it does give you the price of the flip too, which can be interesting. And by the way, when you get that, just think about it this way too. If prices are coming back, could it be seen as like a trail stop, for example, or a stop? Remember, stop orders aren't guaranteed to exit at or near that price. Okay, not guaranteed to fill at or near that price, but they do compete with other, market orders once they do get filled. But it could be a signal line or something. And sometimes, even in this class, we put particular lines on the chart to say, where am I at? Am I still trending? In other words, do I stick with it? Do I stick with the trend or not? Is volatility creeping up or is it not? If volatility is staying in line with the trend, stick with the trend. Okay, let's put that in right now. Trend, here you go. Not guaranteed for time and accuracy, folks, but there it is right there. I just put it in there for you. Okay, nice. Okay, now let's back out a little bit. I went out actually on a 1 year here. I want to look at MCD, McDonald's. Okay, it's these portions of the move that I'm looking at here, where you're green or red. Microsoft should be down, yeah, quite a bit of down. One thing we've talked about in this class is where are we at relative to the 200-day moving average, to the 30-period moving average, to the 20, whatever time frame you're trading, where are you at relative to it? Is what we're looking at there. Okay. All right, there might have been a question coming in a little bit earlier, and I wanted to highlight this up top here. If you go into the super trend here, okay, so adjusting, we got ATRs, but if you adjust this up top, this is going to do a couple of different things that I wouldn't. So this is really geared towards placing that ATR and also where the line rests on the chart. This is going to change the entire signal. This was what had been utilized and sort of run through or back tested, you could say, through here. Let's go ahead and throw on Occidental. So when oil got strong, you basically stuck with it that entire time on some of these companies. with one exception right here when you did dip below that range. Of course, you got right back up above it. This is post earnings, and volatility did spike around earnings, and that's really one key point I would bring up right there, is that there is a volatility spike that you're getting right there, just to be mindful of around earnings. And so you can account for that too. If you're really confident in, let's say, an earnings run, like an earnings gap and go that we've talked about, and there was actually one earnings gap and go over the past couple of weeks. It was this FDS. Well, it's not really a go too much. It did gap up. It's going a little bit. This is actually FactSet is what it's called. You can see that right there. We did spike. There was a change of volatility right around earnings. We got a gap and go, and this one could be, it could be a longer term turnaround. Sometimes earnings can do that, but this would be an interesting one to watch as well with this underlying trend as well. Okay, so that's what I wanted to look at, and I'm going to do this over here because I was really just wanting to take a look too and see how our total Mag 7 is doing. There's an ETF for this as well. But of course, we don't talk about ETFs in this class. We just make that up. Now, what has been the key driver of the market? A lot of it has been technology. And this was at one point, if not too long ago, it might even still be there. It represented about 40% of the S&P 500 moves. So we see the S&P 500 going down. 40% of that just due to the market weighted impact of the Mag 7 accounted for it. And we've been down all the way. So until we flipped over here, you can see right here, we just barely flipped after that whole period of time. So I was just bringing this up because we are getting that flip, and who knows, it might end up kind of reversing here a bit. Okay, but once you broke that level, there you go. Remember, it does have a trend aspect to it as well, but I would also just look at higher highs and higher lows because it does look at a very short-term trend, very short-term. Okay, but there you go. We just barely got the flip on the Mag 7. All else equal, that could be a positive because, again, we'll see where it's at, but it's about 40% of the S&P 500. Cool. All right, we got that down. And let's continue on. Now, I wanted to show this, but of course I did want to run through also a number of different trades this week. So we do trade the ThinkScript across, I don't know, dozens and dozens that we've created. And I just want to show you what has been moving a little bit too. So this is the addition today, the super trend. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look at maybe some of the squeezes that we saw out there that were a little bit that might be interesting to some traders, investors. And remember the TTM squeeze. What is so fascinating with the TTM squeeze? I've actually got it right here. I'll put it on and we should be good to go. Let me take these off. Click, click. There you go. So the TTM squeeze, Bollinger Band below the Keltner channel, we're looking for price patterns that might give us an indication of a possible breakout or what we're seeing on that, right? We're just trying to find out what we might be seeing that could show some change occurring. And here's a company. This is called EchoStar. I think it's also Dish, right? Dish and EchoStar merged or something. Notice over here with me, what's the structure of this whole entire trend? A little bit of a saucer bottom. Okay, a little bit of a saucer bottom. These extended, very, very extended moves. Here's another one here. Now, when you start seeing these, and some would say, yeah, the next phase of a saucer bottom is sometimes that cup and handle. What's interesting, if we do start to continue to move up, well, then that's been in a very long bar. You don't see TTMs this long, but what we're saying here is we're seeing an indication of a price pattern that could give us additional insight based upon the TTM, because if you coil for a long period of time, the whole idea is this. You break out of it, my crooked arrow there, you break out of it, folks, and you move if it's coiled. Now, it did dip a little bit, but it did move. You'd kind of expect that when you start to get longer moves as well. But does everybody capture what I'm saying? You get a price pattern that normally has been known to move, and then you get another indicator showing you that too. By the way, this one, I'm trying to remember. I looked at this one I believe. Let me just check and see. The 50-period moving average can be that intermediate term. Okay, so we're above that here, kind of like we broke above, we dipped below, broke above, dipped below, broke above, dipped below, and we're back above again. Now, I don't know if it will go, but the TTM says, hey, it's been squeezing a little bit. It might, in fact, move. Another one that's above the 50 is I don't know what symbol that is. I don't think it is this symbol. This is Intel. Notice right in the TTM, a similar type, but there's more to this. There's a similar type of rounded. It's not really rounded bottom, but maybe a bottom type formation, but also a breakout here as well. It's interesting because I know NVIDIA invested a few $1 billion in this company. I don't know exactly all the details. I could say that it's had a tendency to kind of consolidate, run, consolidate, run. That's a 50-period moving average. I haven't changed a darn thing. Sometimes on those bigger pullbacks, it breaks above the 50. Sometimes it'll break above the 100 as well. I do have the 100 here. I'll normally right off the bottom. So I'll normally, when it touches, sometimes you can bounce when price touches off there. We've yet to flip off that TTM squeeze. So what could this mean? It could mean a potential follow through, kind of like you saw over here. See the consolidation, extreme low volatility, Bollinger Band below the Keltner channel. It could move. And by the way, it can move up or down. Notice up here, we got it. And what did it do? It moved down, but then it trended up. This is just more like a possible trend break. Sort of a setup move here. It's kind of, if we wanted to do just a example trade. Now there are earnings coming up here. This one I'm going to keep kind of close, kind of a tighter stop. I'm going to do this, and this has been known some traders will do this. I'm going to put my stop at a 50% mark on that big bar, and these are kind of helpful to do on big bars, but let's just do it. Let me show you off the bottom to the top, 50%. If we start to go below that 50% level, about 48.26 to be exact, or somewhere in there, then that will be the exit. If we do extend, though, we might just have a sort of a longer term. This is sort of it's like a triangle actually, but an extension up to approximately 60, approximately 60. Let's just throw one in as an example. Now, some traders will use different trades like options, etc. We're just going to use a simple stock trade order on this one, though. Okay, so let's do it. Let's just go. I'm just going to do, we'll just do a 50, 50 shares or whatever. It's not even that expensive anyways, but I mean, everything's relative. There's our bracket order. Good tail cancel, good tail cancel. I'll flip this over here, lock it down. We'll go 50. Oh, 50 tab through. There we go. The limit, sure, that was going to be 60 range. I just kind of eyeballing it, folks. And this was about, what was it, 48, 26 or something. I'd say 20 in that range. Just to kind of put an example trade in here. Always read those disclosures and make sure we got everything set up. As I'm looking at it down here, it is set up, right? So we sent that on through. But that is the trade. I'll take this off now. You can see where that 50, yeah. Well, I'm sorry, I was a little bit lower, wasn't it? Down here, I did 40, I did 48, it's 46. Okay, right there. There we go. And still waiting for that order, but what I can do just to force the order is I could say something like just, put it down here, get the trade under our belt, right? Unless it's just not going to trade. Okay. Oh, it moved everything, dang it. Okay, let's push this back up. 47, 48, 6, right? Get that right? I got a little cute. A little cute. All right. Scoot. Yeah, just move that up just a little bit there. Right about there. Okay. Fair enough. I don't know why this order's not going, but I am putting it through. And I put it down here just try to force an order. You guys get the idea. But that was again a TTM moving, but it was more than just a maybe kind of a round, more of a bottom type pattern. It was sort of a breaking out of a range too that some traders might look at. Always be mindful of earnings. I'm just throwing this on so we can see. Let's go to another one here. Just a couple more. Here's Costco. Costco. Oh, actually, Costco was in a TTM, kind of coming out right now. It's really been hovering around this 1,000 level. So you think about inflation in other areas in the market, maybe Costco does hold up better. It might just due to the fact that Costco is, well, wholesale, I guess, that can offset. You think about wholesale, and we can also think about another channel breakout. We don't know if this will break out, but we can say that a big chunk of this range has been sideways. And you guys can see with me. Look at this. I mean, this is what we're looking at here. That's sort of sideways. Does Costco have it in it to break out up above here? Interesting. If it does, it's got to take out these levels and really clear that 1,000 level. All right. Little talk about peanut butter and jelly. Here we go. Absolutely. Let's do this. ROST, that is. So this is a breakout as well. Ross Stores breaking out. This one was kind of a channel breakout. We were earlier in the day. We were just barely getting into a TTM squeeze, and then we got out of it. But notice we're getting that squeeze and the breakout too. Breaking above those highs right here and maybe sitting. All right. Oh, we had talked about too the Arun oscillator, VRSN. We don't get a ton of these when they pop up, but here's one breaking out of the range. It's not a TTM, but remember the Arun. Let's just take that off for now. We already had chosen or used some of those. The TTM, the Arun is different because the Arun is really looking when the stock, the way we did this is we looked for trades within the Arun breaking above their upper Arun range, right? It can represent strong upward momentum, sometimes a new bullish trend. But the way that we did our screen on the Arun, as you recall, that was specifically when the Arun hits the 100 level. So it's showing that there's a lot of strength behind the scenes in here. Now, with this one, got a couple moving averages in there. Let me clear those out. You can see that we did clear those off the bottom. But what I did want to put on was the super trend on it right now. Check it out. All right, so super trend, there you go. You can see that we actually got an indication off of the bottom for the possibility of a short-term trend change, which has resumed and has remained up. Okay, Chris is mentioning, yeah, with the scanner on that, yeah, I was actually having a little bit of a difficulty creating that scan. But what I can do, okay, I'll work on this throughout the week, next week, and I'll try to identify this line specifically and a breakout above that level. I was kind of challenged to do that myself a little bit, but I mean, I wasn't able to get it. Not a little bit, I couldn't do it, but I would work on that. We can look at tops and bottoms, moving down or moving up, whatever the case might be as well there. But this is one that actually is showing that as well. It's showing that the trend, according to the ATR, the super trend, if you will, has been identified, right, as a possible move to the upside. Again, we like to confirm it with our own eyes, higher highs, higher lows, and then you've got that short-term super trend working behind the scenes a little bit. So that's what I wanted to put in place. Now, a quick note too, because I did highlight these. If you guys did want to check those out, of course, you can always go into our YouTube channel. Love to have you join us if you're not already on board. Many of you already are. But you can come up top here and just click on subscribe. Put that down below, and right here, you can subscribe to our channel. Right here, it should be. By the way, quick note too, if you come down at the bottom, I'm just going to show you where you could find that Arun as well. So if you come in here, and what you want to do is, yeah, just go Control F, Control Find, find it, and then just type in Arun. You can see when we did that, and I've got all the scripts in here for us as well to take a look at. And by the way, within here too, that was the Arun. Here's the TTM. Ken did a bunch of TTMs. I guess I didn't say that. What did I say? Squeeze in mine. You're getting Ken's code is slightly different from mine. Where is it? It's up here somewhere. It's not going to be under TTM. Take a look at Ken's for sure, but yeah. All I'm doing is I did a scan on the TTM, but in addition to it, yeah, there's plenty of them in here as well. Oh, there's the parabolic. We haven't done that one. A fractal reversal. Did a couple of these. All right. All right, everybody. Well, hey, that is what I had for you today. If you got value out of today's discussion, if you could think you can utilize some of these scripts, give us a thumbs up. On that note, too, always be mindful of whatever you're looking at. When you create the scans, last note, over here on the left-hand side, when you get the scans set up and you have them all in place, remember, you can quickly go through and look at them under default, under personal, and find some of these. Like, what do I have over here? Oh, there was a bull flag plus a Cahold in there, right? Have a few of those. This has got a bull flag plus the Cahold pattern. That was a class. But I'm just saying this keeps it current for you and easy to access so that you can just do the click, click, click. Isn't that easy? So much better than going to the scan, pulling up the scan, finding something off the scan, pulling it up over here, and then running it again. It can be very, very tricky. All right, everybody. Well, leave you with the super trend today and some of the others that we've noted. Thank you, Kevin. As always, so much appreciate your help in the chat. Everybody have a fantastic Easter. Yes. Look forward to a future discussion with you. And any questions or comments, definitely put those into the YouTube notes below after the end of our class. All right, everybody, have a fantastic rest of the day. See you next time.